I'm sure you've moved before, moved into a new area, moved into a new community. You've either done it as an individual with a family or maybe as a business owner. Some of you might remember Matt Eickmann, who's been on Tonka Talk before. Hello, Matt.
How's it going, Natalie? Thanks for having me.
On Tonka Talk, we talk about the ways people create community and connection. And Matt does that really well, despite his shy demeanor and his quiet voice.
Super shy. Yeah.
Super shy. Matt is the CEO of Abracadabra Wildlife and Pest Control, and he hosts a new podcast that's about to launch, and it's called Homegrown Hustle. Now, the lead in there about moving. So Matt's business is in the Lake Minnetonka area, which is where Tonka Talk lives. You expanded your business into another community, and you're kind of really getting things going there. And I wanted to talk about, because around here, you're dialed in. Matt, he's involved with the chambers. You do some different networking groups. And his company also hosts Princess Party Pals. They did this last summer where people got to come with their kids and spend time with these princesses.
I was not the princess.
You were not the princess, although I think more people would come if you were.
All right, we'll think about that for next year.
But he does a lot, point being, around the community. But you've been in this area for a while and lived here, but now you're creating something new or in a new area, same business. How do you do that? Because around here, like I said, you've been around for a long time. How you've lived in the area, worked in the area. How do you do this in an entirely new community?
So that's a really big question. So let me unpack it a little bit. So first of all, thanks for the kind words. So it's like a little bit too much for me. I appreciate your kindness there. It just kind of comes naturally for us. It's kind of how I was raised, was to just care about people. So community is really what drives a lot of like my personal direction. But because I'm a business owner, I get to have a little bit more impact, and I think that's pretty cool. So it's taken a while to really grow and get to the point where we're at. But a few years ago, we really had to sit back and look at our strategy for growth as a company and really create some vision so that we can create direction. And we were looking at just like what gave us the best output from a growth standpoint. And when we moved into our first location in Mound, it really kind of shored up some relationships that we had. It established like a level of permanence almost, and really just became a place that now people are starting to identify with being part of Mound. So after kind of coming to that epiphany, we just realized like if we want to grow in other communities and expand, being on the west side of Lake Minnetonka has some limitations. But what we really care about, the connection and really becoming more than just a transactional business with the community. Like we got to be there. Yeah, you have to actually be there. You can't just want to be part of a community. When you're present, just like presence and proximity goes a long way. So we set a direction where we're looking to expand into additional submarkets to the Twin Cities. Forest Lake is where we found our second location and really got lucky with kind of the trajectory of the real estate market and just how everything was going, but moved into a great location, very similar to what we have going on over here in Mound. And then it sat for a little while because it was a little further away than I thought at first. So had to learn through some of those things and really get somebody to be out there. So since we first opened that about a year ago, we've also added a third location in Northeast Minneapolis, and it really just kind of replicating that model of finding a neighborhood community where we can be present in it and be present. And then the next step would be networking, finding the connections and the people within that sub community and just establishing authentic relationships with them, not about a transaction, but really about trying to understand the community. Because each one, although we're all in Minnesota, we're all in the Midwest, they're different. And we've kind of just taken a really...
It's a big step to when you talk about expanding your business. And what I'm hearing you say is it's it's that showing up, not just show up and open your business, but what's already going on in that community.
Mm-hmm.
You've done this thought leader blog through Abracadabra on your website where you have featured and highlighted different people in the community and what they're doing and what they're up to. Is that something that you're doing also at the different locations?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So we've been doing the thought leadership in kind of a blog form for about 2 years now, and we've interviewed almost 100 small business owners or local thought leaders in their different areas, and we wanted to kind of replicate a similar type of growth and depth of understanding for the local business market, but we didn't want to have redundancies in our business.
Mm-hmm.
So we actually took that same kind of thread, and we're launching a podcast in December where it's really focused on local business. And obviously it's not going to be specific to the Forest Lake area, but that's where it's starting, because when we have conversations, like, I just want to be able to take that and try to help people shine with it a little bit. Because owners forget like how much of a unicorn they are. Sometimes it's like running a business is very, very difficult. And sometimes talking about it and then hearing yourself and seeing yourself talk about it, it goes a long way for how people feel about themselves and in their business. And I think it's empowering and it's really inspirational for me. I love business. I love seeing people grow their business. And I'm passionate about helping people kind of work through those things, because I've come a long way and I still have a long way to go. But when you have a community of business owners with similar experiences, now you got support.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have more ideas. Now you have like experiences, all those things. When you haven't done it, all that uncertainty makes decisions very difficult, and that doesn't move the needle for a business. So just a little bit of selfishness for me, because I love learning from other business owners, but also I like how it makes people feel.
Yeah.
And it's cool to kind of snowball that idea and see what type of community we can create around being a business owner.
Yeah. And it's really nice. What I like about your Thought Leader blog and going into doing Homegrown Hustle, the podcast that's going to come out, is the way that you showcase and share about these business owners. You get to know more who they are. It's not just about the business. Because just like with Abracadabra, it's wildlife and pest control.
Very exciting stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Super sexy. There's only so much you can talk about that, but you've managed to take that and really make it part of a community and build that community. So when you go into these other spaces and you replicate those actions of the Thought Leader blog, and now with the podcast, it gives people, I think, this insight to maybe businesses they're familiar with or not, but where they really get to know the business owner or the people working there. And that really, in my mind and experience, strengthens that relationship between a business and their customers. Tell me more about Homegrown Hustle, the podcast, which I can't wait to listen to. What kind of topics are you going to tackle?
So really, the structure around it has a pretty similar workflow for us to how we're doing the Thought Leaders, where we have so much time allocated to really do this. We put it out to essentially any small business owner that would want to sign up for it, and then if they go through the steps and carve the time out in their day, we'll talk about pretty much anything business. Like, I know the things I love to talk about, but that interview, we really talk about the stories behind the people, similar to the Thought Leader.
Yeah.
I mean, like in business, like as we're growing, we try to create all these, like, what our business is supposed to look like and how we're supposed to look, because this is our business. And we start to create all these like layers of what it's supposed to look like. And then when we see other business owners, we don't realize that they have stuff that's not going right too. It's like, we just see like the grass is greener type of scenario. So seeing that other people are humans and talking about failures, shortcomings, successes, and strategy around that, and then how it impacts like their life, because there's so much more to life than working. And I love working, but like I can't do it all the time. So just being able to help share that human side and let people kind of let their guard down a little bit and realize how much of a badass they are. Because business owners they're incredible people. I mean, in this country, like, we kind of owe it to our country to be successful, to create more opportunity for people. And that's, like, I believe wholeheartedly in that. And I just, people, the interesting thing, Natalie, is people kind of, when I first started the thought leadership, they like thought I was working some type of angle, like almost like I was a marketing company or something, right? Where I'm just trying to create some type of conversation, dialogue that people can like reference for learning materials and also learn about their community, because it is local business oriented. And it took a while for people to realize that I don't have an angle.
It's not a scam.
No, like I look like a very scammy guy. You're not. No, it's just like.
Well, I'll have to paint the picture. If you're listening to this on the podcast and not watching the video, Matt, what are you, in your 30s, early 30s?
Yeah.
Right. But he's got very long dreadlocks, very handsome man.
It's kind of.
But doesn't fit your stereotypical, I own a business with 3 locations, I'm coming in to do this. It's you. And if you're familiar with the Lake Minnetonka community or wherever you live, if there's a section of your community where it's a bit more high end, the homes on the lake, it's a higher end, the services that people provide, the shopping, and then Matt shows up. But you've done an amazing job of really bridging that gap, and I think that it's important to have more of that, just different types of people in business. And in my mind, I always look at you and go, I love the fact that you represent business owners who are, in my mind, because I'm in my 50s, you're so young, in your early 30s, but going out, making decisions, expanding their businesses, working with other people, building community, making connections. It shows, I think, other people who are younger and thinking of maybe starting their own business that they can do it too. And it doesn't need to be done wearing a tie or a jacket.
I mean, I like to look nice and wear nice stuff, but like you said, I have dreadlocks down to my belt. I'm a white guy. It's not like the most normal thing, especially in the Lake Minnetonka area. But the cool thing about this area and just community in general is like, people want to learn about you. And there's just this level of Minnesota nice that's really authentic and kind of taking control. It took a while when I was young, really getting into business, to like feel like I belonged in those business. Like, it was really uncomfortable. Like, I kind of love being uncomfortable because I know that's a space where there's room for growth and change and improvement, but it doesn't make it easy to walk into a group of 45 business people. You're 22 years old. You got dreadlocks looking like Sideshow Bob from The Simpsons. I was like that. It took a lot for me to learn and realize that these are just people too. Like, and if I actually want to make change, I can't sit around and let somebody give me permission for that. You got to go you got to do stuff in business. And I'm just okay with failure. Because the biggest failure I have typically isn't going to be that big of a failure in business. Like, it's just a learning opportunity. So trying stuff, failing, now you get to move the needle in a different direction to learn more. So
it's how we learn. It's how we learn. We learn through struggles, through failure, through getting up and trying again. And taking that point of view with business as you do it, and what I think that with your podcast that's coming up and the Thought Leader blog, it helps kind of disarm people and invites them to share maybe a little bit of vulnerability and truth, where oftentimes I think, especially in business, it's this feeling or thought that maybe you need to constantly maintain this level of professionalism and perfection. But for professionalism looks different to different people.
Yeah.
And that's why I get such a kick out of it. Like you said, you got the dreadlocks and everything, but Matt goes to some of the nicest chamber events, the luncheons.
Why is that a chamber loves me over there?
That's right. And I think that's such a great example of how it's not about how you look to fit in. It's about carving out that space to fit in. If there's not an existing space for you as an individual or a business owner, my point of view is then carve it out. Find out what's needed in the community. And that's something that I think you've done and how you've been able to expand your business. With Homegrown Hustle with a podcast, what do you hope to achieve with that?
Just want to help somebody. Like, if it helps somebody, that's kind of it.
Because you'll be able to...
Like I said, I don't really have an angle. I just hope that somebody gets value from it. Because I know having resources and a place to go, not everyone can like go into those networking meetings and interact with people and create those learning opportunities. Like some people, that's really, really hard for them, but they still have a business and they need to learn somehow. And having a resource that isn't direct human interaction, maybe that's the best way for them to learn and improve. I'm like a compulsive networker, like to a fault at times, where I overcommit to things. And that's something I really had to regulate as I was growing, was like, how do I spend my time? Who do I take advice from? Where do I go to learn? How do I take that and actually move the needle in my business? So really, back to your original question, I wanted to help people, hopefully inspire people that are kind of on the edge or maybe working through something difficult. I'm a resource. Like, this stuff kind of gets me excited. So I hope somebody reaches out to me with some type of business question. I'm not an expert, but a sounding board is such it's such an important thing that a lot of people don't have, especially as a business owner or a parent or any, like, life is hard. So having somebody to talk to, or talk about it and maybe even vent about it, like, that's important. But business is like, people have this business face that they have.
You can't be vulnerable.
Well, it's like, people can feel that. Like, I've found that people, when they find authenticity, they like gravitate towards it because they know what to expect. I mean, that's how my parents raised me. I don't know anything else other than authentic, and I try to be as polite and nice as possible to everybody, but not everybody likes me. And at least I know they don't like me because of who I am, not because of somebody else pretending to be. Sorry to all those people if anyone out there doesn't like me, but just like being real is such a, I mean, it's not a rarity, but like it's nice to find.
Yeah. And I think when they can look and go, okay, well, here's this guy and he's grown his business and he's done it while being himself, while making mistakes and while growing from that. And along the way, giving a platform and a voice to other business owners. And that's one of the things that, and I think you might agree, business owners are often sometimes really good at what they do. Really good at the work itself, but not always the best about marketing or getting the word out about that. Not everybody likes to talk about themselves. Not everybody is like me.
Yeah. I mean, everybody has their things that they're good at, right? Yeah. And then there's things that you're not as good at, and there's things that you're just terrible at. And a lot of people, myself included, for quite a while, like, I would focus on those things where I was coming short, right? And in my business, what I realized is that being perfect didn't actually move the needle. Yeah, it actually kept me in like a stagnant place with a lot of frustration, where when I doubled and tripled down on the stuff that I was really good at, now my output was umpteen times more than what we would have had I spent the same amount of time fixing something. So knowing, like, being humble enough to know, like, you're not the best, that's what's harder for a business owner. Because business owners are control freaks a lot of times. They own it all, they're passionate, it's theirs, they built it from the ground up. So letting somebody else have control takes a lot of trust, and that's really hard. I've gone through that. And even with my family, like, two of my brothers work with me, like, trust is there. Obviously, they're my family, but it's like your baby almost. I don't know. Growing a business is such a transformational thing to go through, because, like, the business owners, like, they have to reinvent and reimagine themselves so many times. So true. As the business grows. And when they stop doing that, the business stops. Or it dies, one of the two. So, like, that that's why I think everyone should be a business owner somehow, or at least like try. And what's worse, you try to be in control of things around you and like be in control of your future, and then it fails, and you go back to whatever job you're doing anyway.
Yeah, but that's where the growing happens. That's where the fun starts, I think, is when in those challenging moments. Exactly, it's scary. And if it's not scary, it's not big enough. If it were simple, everybody would be doing it, kind of thing. But there's a lot of growth that can occur, and I'm glad that you're talking about it and continuing to do. Now go ahead with this podcast and continue with the Thought Leader series. I'll share in the show notes where you can find the Thought Leader series. And as soon as the podcast is up, we'll share a link to that as well and keep talking about it.
I have to get you and Kelly and the rest of the Olson Global team over there or something.
That's right. We'll have to get over there and get on the podcast.
Yeah, yours is a lot nicer in here than mine.
But this is not where we started.
I know.
I started on my couch. I
mean, this is awesome. You ladies are like super inspiring to just see everything you do, because it's not easy to do this stuff. Plus all the other stuff you got going on. This is the fun stuff. It's like you said, the stuff getting involved in the community, and a passion of mine is sharing people's stories and what they're doing. And for the same reason, I'm fascinated by how people connect, what drives them to do what they're doing, how they ended up becoming so passionate about a specific thing. And that's what Tonka Talk is all about, how people create community and connection. So I'm so glad you shared, Matt. I'm happy to have you back on here again. And I'm sure I appreciate it. And all the kind words. You're so nice. I always appreciate our time together.
Yeah, good to have you here. And I know we'll have Matt back again talking about different things, because again, he's pretty dialed in the community that I live and work with. So I can't just help but run into him. Thank you, Matt, and everybody else. I will talk to you later.